Welcome to the Racing Post live with the Betfair Exchange. Now, you may be wondering where we've got the word live from. Stick with us in the coming month and you'll see something called the Cheltenham Festival coming up. We're going to bring you absolutely everything. You won't miss a thing. Standing immediately next to me on my right, Charlie Poste, a man whose lives on the likes of Thomas Crapper, Le Beau Bye and Roos Blanc have gone into the history of many a sports book. See what I did there, Charlie?
I love it, yeah.
Very good. You're here to help us, guide us along the way.
Well, I'm here to learn a bit myself as well, to be honest.
Happy days, quite right, me too. Of course, you wouldn't know that much about exchanges, we should say that. Well, not up until recently.
Not until very recently at all. I mean, I am saying it, putting it out there, I know nothing about them. And even now, I'm very much a novice, so I'm excited about today and learning a new thing.
We believe you, Your Honour. And a man that we wouldn't exchange for anyone else. See what I did there, Barry? Barry Orr's here with us as well.
I see what you did there.
To tell us exactly what we need to know. Barry, you're looking absolutely smart and ready for the gig.
All good here. I'm on your left, thankfully, not on your right.
Yes, indeed. It's my left and my right, isn't it? Of course, listen, I'm going to get mixed up as the show goes, but we've got some small fields this week, Barry. We're hoping that everything goes ahead, of course, with Storm Dennis. Big day for you at Ascot tomorrow, sponsoring the feature race. Some small field Cyrname's going to be really short. We've got some real shorties, haven't we? Some in-running carnage expected.
I don't know about carnage. Be plenty of in-running action, that's for sure. Be interesting to see what way it falls tomorrow. But I suppose the two feature races, definitely up in Haydock, plenty of runners. Always a lot of in-running stories up there in the Betfair Exchange, and then it's more quality over quantity, it has to be said, then in Ascot.
Right, let's have a little chat about backing and laying. Then Charlie, down the pub, you know, you get it all the time, don't you? I'll give you an even 50 on this, a tenner about this. What price would you take backing and laying? But of course, now you can lay at your own odds. Barry, just give us a layman's terms. What is this Betfair Exchange all about?
I suppose first and foremost, it's important to remember in the Betfair Exchange, it's a community of people that come together and bet against each other. We just facilitate that environment. So a back bet is on the left-hand side, and underneath that is the amount that you can bet at that price. And then the lay bet on the other side is the same. It's 1.45 there, and the amount, £531, you can lay for that horse. So it's full transparency there. You see here the amount that is already matched in the event. And because there's no bookmaker's margins, that's why you get better odds on the Betfair Exchange.
So basically, you become the bookmaker, if you like. It gives you the opportunity, doesn't it, to really back your opinion. And with that in mind, let's take a look at the first at Ascot. Right then, time for the 1:15 kicking us off at Ascot. This is always a fascinating novice hurdle. This is the Thames Materials novice hurdle over 2 mile 3. Don't forget, of course, you can now bet with Betfair on the Racing Post app. Before we get into it with the chaps, let's see what David Jennings thinks of the race.
In the novices hurdle at Ascot, I think it's very hard to get away from Master Debonair. Won its last 2 starts at Ascot, and the change of tactics is key here. Speaking to Robbie Power during the week, he thinks front running has turned Master Debonair inside out. The form of his latest win at Ascot has worked out spectacularly well. The 4th horse home that day was Mac Fabulous. We all seen what he did at Market Raisin. I think Master Debonair is a dark horse for the Supreme. I know he's stepping up to 2 mile 3 here, but I think he's going to be very hard to beat, especially if he gets that easy lead.
Okay, thanks for that, DJ. Okay, Master Debonair for DJ then. Well, let's have a little rundown of the field. Master Debonair, of course, on the course, hat-trick there. Will he get an easy lead? That'll be interesting, because Sporting John's in there. Real dark one, this chaps, isn't he, for the Supreme. We've also got Pipe Dreamer, of course, for Nicky Henderson, and Tonham Frade as well for the Tristan Davis team as well. Barry, let's start with you here. Sporting John, he's a fascinating horse, isn't he?
Really is. The first day he ran at Exeter, he traded at 100 in running. It just seemed like he was travelling out the back. He travelled sweetly into the race though, and he won going away. Beat a good one that day, Harry Senior, who's gone on and really franked the form. Interesting thing about him for me is they're stepping him up in trip here. It looks like he's more a Ballymore, not even an Albert Bartlett type, but definitely a Ballymore type. The same owner, JP McManus, has Chantry House in the Supreme. He's 11 to 1 chance on the Betfair Exchange.
Another dark one.
Another dark one, won well in Newbury the other day. Did. But Master Debonair, for me, I think he's definitely worth taking on. It looks like he might go off favourite on the Betfair Exchange, but I think he's definitely a lay. He made all last day. It was an ordinary enough race. I didn't like his jumping, especially when he hit the home straight. He jumped out to his left quite a lot. I just think he's worth taking on with what could be a very, very decent horse indeed.
Just going on about Sporting John, how does he hit like a winning point to point? How does he hit 100 to 1 in running at Exeter? Has someone just got that very wrong?
Well, someone's definitely got it wrong, but he did travel out the back, and it didn't look like he was going to get involved in the finish. Even coming to the last, you'd think this horse is going to struggle to win. It was just in the last 150 yards he really took off and is under his jockey's urgings.
Because Exeter novice hurdles, they're not too,
well, you get a long time to watch them at the straight.
Like the Irish novice hurdles, where you say you got 3 races in one. You've usually only got 3 horses in it, haven't you? So yeah, it can can still happen.
But
on the
as
exchange.
experts on this thing, would you have put Sporting John up as 100 to 1?
No, that would be something for me. And what you might find there, Charlie, is there's more sophisticated punters that bet in running.
Yeah.
Now, I can still bet in running. I can still have a bet before racing and say if I don't get matched, I'll leave it in play. And I can get matched in play. But there's other more sophisticated punters that would actually bet in running almost for a living.
Fine.
So Master Debonair, has he been getting an easy lead, or is this going to be one step too far? He's still fancied in some circles for Team Tiz after the Supreme.
I mean, like, being honest, I mean, he beat Ribble Valley the last day. He's got good course form. I mean, he was highly regarded coming down from Nicky Richards' yard. Tamarak the Mayfan, I think he beat on hurdle debut as well, went and ran very well in the Betfair hurdle last weekend even. So I think they're two live contenders. I mean, on the figures, the ratings, Master Debonair should be very tough to beat off levels with Sporting John. And it's going to be interesting, probably the way the race is going to frame out, whether they're going to let Master Debonair have an easy lead and Sporting John's going to stalk him in, as in, again, from an in-running punter's point of view, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Well, Pipe Smoker's fascinating on that front as well. If you remember that Chantry House form, isn't it? So we're going to get a line here on all these horses. Fascinating race.
Because he's a strong traveller.
He does travel strongly. He was a real eye-catcher, wasn't he, behind his stablemate? So I wonder how short he goes as well. Selection time, chaps.
For me, it has to be Sporting John. And you're right, on official ratings, he's £5 to find. But often with the novices, as you know, Charlie, official ratings, they can make a mockery of them.
I'm going to go Sporting John as well, but I do agree that I think Pipe Smoker is a very interesting horse to watch for the future. And even a handicap maybe at the festival in mind, possibly.
Bookie hat time on for me. I think Master Debonair's a big lay.
There might be no champ in the Reynoldstown Novice Chase, but it's still a really informative affair, and I've long been a fan of Sam Brown from the Anthony Honeyball stable. What he did at Haydock last time was almost spectacular because it was over a trip much too short. He lost his place down the back straight, and up the home straight he really grounded out on really testing ground. That was a good race with Knight and Dubai chasing the hat-trick, and I thought Sam Brown was well on top at the line. If it did turn up soft in an RSA, I think he'd have a cracking chance. I think this is a very, very good horse when there's cut on the ground, and this could be Sam Brown's big day in the sun.
Cheers, DJ. All right then, Sam Brown for DJ. I've got to say, chaps, this is one of the races of the weekend for me. I love the Reynoldstown. It's a leading RSA trial. And Barry, I think you have to agree, we've got a real small but very, very select field here. Yeah, very much so. And Pim, rightly at the head of the market for my money, what he did against Imperial Aura, who's gone on and franked the form since. I think he's rated 143 now. He might just get into the Close Brothers. I think the top rating for that is 145. So
he's leading fancy for it.
Leading fancy, yeah. He's about an 8 to 1 chance for that on the Betfair Exchange at the moment. Having said that, Sam Brown looks like he's going to get his heavy ground. You've got Copperhead in there as well. My own fancy 2 for Gold. Really thought he pulled it out of the fire in the Hampton in Warwick, and he looks a really game sort of horse, and one of those chases I really like. He's one that I'm gonna probably back in running because he'll trade higher. He traded 10, which is a 9 to 1 in the Hampton in Warwick that day. So he's one that's he pulls it out of the fire. He doesn't. He'll be up thereabouts, but I think he will trade higher in running.
I must say I like him a lot as well, 2 for Gold. They're looking towards the National Hunt Chase, I think, at the moment, aren't they? Of course, if they win this RSA, it's going to be a lot different. Charlie, from a pace perspective as well, thinking about the in-running side of things, few like to get on with it here. Pim's not,
With Sam Brown, 2 for Gold, Pim have all shown a tendency to make the run in the past. And I mean, whether that might open it up for a handicap, like someone that's come through the handicap round, so top ahead, that could follow through, and he's travelled strongly into his races so far this season. It'll be very interesting. I agree with you. I think this probably from an informative point of view of the festival is probably the race of the weekend, as in that there's some real live contenders for whether it be an RSA or a National Hunt Chase in here, as in I love Pim the last day, I must admit, round Cheltenham. I thought he jumped fantastic.
There he is, of course. Pim in the background. It
Lovely
doesn't
picture.
happen by magic around here. Lovely picture. Unibet, of course, there, Barry, for you.
Nice, except for the Unibet britches on Nico.
The Altior colours, of course, and at the start of his career, this chap was, of course, the comparisons were there, and he looked a little bit disappointed, didn't he, after starting well in bumpers, but obviously going up 3 miles and fences as well. Who looks like the one that may drift Barry too? Sam Brown is...
Yeah, Sam Brown
he's
probably.
a winning machine, isn't he? So...
Yeah, Anthony Honeyball's horse. Again, it's the ground for him. If it comes up heavy enough, I can imagine a lot of money come for him. I think Pim just at around the 3, which is in fractions, is 2 to 1 at the head of the market. I think he could be just one that will drift a little. If I could lay him tonight at 2 to 1, I'd be happy to do that, knowing that I could probably get out of it tomorrow at a little bit bigger.
A little bit hedging there for Barry. Selection time, chaps. Charlie, let's start with you.
I'm going to go for Pim, as in I think he's the class horse in the race.
I think 2 for Gold might just measure up here, Barry. He's a good price.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm a big 2 for Gold fan, but like I said, I'm going to have a few quid on him beforehand, but I think he will trade higher in running, so I'm going to put in a little back bet, maybe around 12 or 14 to 1 in running.
Oh, the Reynoldstown, it's a sizzler. Okay, let's have a little bit of introduction about the exchange then. Look, we all know about win and lay betting now, we're getting there, and each way, of course, as well. But there's so much more than that these days, isn't it? Betting without the favourite. You can have match races as well. Barry, just tell us a little bit about what you guys get up to over there at Betfair and how you take an alternative view to the betting markets.
Yeah, well, obviously, Charlie's a bit of a novice, so we'll start with just to try to explain to you, because I'm sure there's plenty of novices out there as well. But basically on the Betfair Exchange, like I said, it's where people come together and bet against each other. Because there's not betting against traditional bookmakers, there's no bookmakers margins.
Yep.
So the markets are invariably all betting to 100%. So there's no margins in there whatsoever. You can go on, and if you back a horse, you can take a price, or you can become a price creator and go the other side. Because, like I said, you're betting against other customers, you can go on and set your own odds, which is it's one of the significant features on Betfair. You don't have to take a price that's there. And you can be the other side of a bet. You place a back bet just like you would traditionally. If that wins, you win. If you place a lay bet, if the horse gets beat or a football team gets beat, you win your money as well. So it's the democratization of betting in terms of allowing customers come together and bet against each other.
You can see the market as it happens as well, Barry. That's one of the big attractions that all those days ago when you started. That was a real,
Very much so. It's complete transparency. You can see how much is being matched in the market. You can go into each individual horse and click on their graph, and you can see what prices they've been backed at. Their Cyrname has been backed at a low of 141. Because this is decimals, 141 is in fractions is 2 to 5, and it's been backed at a high of 149, which is just nearly 1 to 2.
I mean, we've gone into the win market and things like that, but if I wanted to make like what would be a traditional each way bet, how does that play out with the exchange betting?
On the exchange, you can actually place an each way bet as well. You can place also a place bet. So you can say in a race like this, in Fakenham today, you can take 2 places or you can take 4 places.
Okay.
Now, obviously, the prices are derived from the win market on the exchange. So you're taking less, just as you would be if it was on a tote or that. But you have also the cushion of if your horse finishes in the first 4, if that's the market you're betting in, finishes in the first 4, you
and
get
it's just
paid.
a direct place bet rather, so there's no win option as well. You're just saying
It's
I'm
just a
backing
place
the
bet. It can finish first, second, third or fourth.
Yeah.
Single stake then for the place. I must say that's something that I'm attracted in. You can often tell how much a runner is fancied as well by looking in the place market. There's an introduction to the exchange. Let's go to Haydock then, guys, and 3:15 Slugfest it is, the Grand National Trial, the Grade 3. Boy, this is going to take some getting. Before we have a good look in here in the studio, what's David Jennings going for?
Yes, the Grand National has been the main topic of conversation all week, and now we've got a trial at Haydock, and it's a pretty good trial too. Obviously Elegant Escape is likely to head the market, but the one I like here is Yala Enki from the Paul Nicholls stable. It's been a gradual progression with Yala Enki all season. Wasn't really fit enough to run well in the Ladbrokes Trophy. A cracking effort when third off a mark of 155 in the Welsh National over Christmas, and then back to winning ways at Taunton last time under Bryony Frost. Jumped really well there. I think Haydock will suit Yala Enki. I think he could be better on a flat track like Haydock, and if he gets into rhythm towards the head of affairs with Bryony Frost, this could be a day where he might be pegged back.
DJ's gone for Yala Enki, 2018 winner when trained by Venetia Williams. Obviously Paul Nicholls now. This race is going to take a hell of a lot of getting. Loads of Welsh national form in, 2 Amigos, Yala Enki,
A race
Elegant
you know
Escape,
well about.
Cobbles
Come on.
Bay.
What sort of horse do we want to be on here? What sort of run style do we want? There's a few front runners in here, aren't there?
There are front runners, and I think round Haydock now with the new track, being up there is not a bad thing always. But at the same time, this is a race that's going to take an enormous amount of getting with the weather forecast on top of heavy ground already. You're going to want a thorough stayer.
I've used the in-running carnage term. You don't think it's going to be happening at Ascot? Could it happen here? We all want to see carnage in running. We love the stories. Come on, Barry.
Yeah, there's a couple here that are worth flagging from an in-running point of view. Obviously, you have the likes of Elegant Escape. 2 of his last 3 runs, he's traded near the even money around even money, 206 and 214.
He's
and
a
got
very
beaten.
popular horse, isn't
That's
he?
2 of his last 3 runs in running. Also 2 Amigos, and he's a really interesting one.
I like him.
Really interesting one. So he's traded 3 times shorter than his Betfair SP in his last run, 5 times shorter than his Betfair SP in Fontwell, and the previous run then 2 times shorter than his Betfair SP. That's around 3 to 1, even money and 7-2.
You're not filling me with confidence here,
in his
Barry.
last 3. He's definitely a take on in the win and place market.
So
even.
Dave's backing him and you're laying him.
I'll be laying him in running. I'll get him even shorter.
That's
in
because of
running.
his run style, though, isn't it? He's got
Well,
one
he's
way
up
of doing
there.
it.
He's up there
The Welsh
with it.
national last time, he's always up there, isn't he?
Yeah,
So he's going to go a bit shorter, right?
He'll always go shorter in running, and he doesn't find a whole lot then off the bridle, and it's going to take all to get him tomorrow.
Just going to Elegant Escape, I just find that crazy that someone laid him at even money that far out at Chepstow. I presume we're talking almost 4 out, or when they jumped the ditch, at Chepstow, and he came looming there down the inside.
No, he traded the last 2 times he's got beat. So out of 2 out of his last 3 runs, he traded near the even money mark.
That's what I mean. When
So
he got
Chepstow
beat at
that day, he
Chepstow,
traded 206.
He was short in the sportsbook, though, wasn't he, for that? He was, a clear favourite, wasn't he?
was
So
around a 4
lots of
to 1 chance,
people were
wasn't
hoping to sort
But
of
I'm just saying,
maybe
I
back
find
up
it
on
surprising that still with that far to go at Chepstow, carrying top weight, that he's laid that short in running.
You look at these races through the lens of exchange in running now, and you'll have a whole different outlook on a race as it develops, because you have a good experience from race riding. So you'll know when a horse instinctively, geez, that horse isn't going too well, he's going to start going backwards now, or a horse doesn't get a trip. But if you apply that to the exchange, to in-running betting, there is profit to be made if you're selective and you know the horses that you want to take on in running. So for me, Two Amigos is one of them tomorrow.
Let's talk about one for Arthur just very quickly. There's a lot of love out there again for his second national bid. They say he's back at home, don't they? Reports of some decent work. The Scudamores are backing up. First time cheap pieces tomorrow. He's going to sit out the back, isn't he? So he could just profit from a pace burn-up.
Yeah, and like all the national horses now, they have their mark, they have their weight. I think he's only a
Could show
pound
their
higher.
hand.
Yeah, I think he's only a pound higher than when he won the national a couple
That's
of
right.
years back. He's a really interesting contender. Lord de Marcel, another interesting one. There's going to be loads of pace on in this race, and I might just set it up for a finisher like him.
Selection time. Well, I've been told off, but it's Two Amigos for me. I'm going to stick despite what Barry says. Barry?
I'm the other side of that bet.
Okay, he's laying my bet. Oh my goodness. Heads on.
I like
Poste.
Geronimo, lightweight, Sandy Thompson. I think he can improve on his third there the last time behind Vintage Clouds.
Slogfest, who will be right.
Yes, the Betfair Ascot Chase. What a mouth-watering jewel we have in store here. Cyrname, the Ascot specialist, who's been so spectacular in this race before, takes on the up-and-coming Riders on the Storm. Do you know, going into Cheltenham last year, Riders on the Storm was my banker in the Close Brothers. Oh my God, what a certainty he would have been if he'd have stood up looking at what he's done this season. But I think this could be a step too far for Riders on the Storm. It's one thing beating on the blind side at Ascot, it's another thing trying to beat Cyrname, who's officially rated £15 higher than Riders on the Storm. And if Cyrname comes back to the sort of form he beat Altior in, he's going to be very hard to beat. He loves Ascot. Them fences come thick and fast, and if he gets into rhythm out in front, he's going to take some stopping. It is Cyrname for me.
Right, well, no surprises there then. DJ, he's buying money. Cyrname, talking about buying money, what sort of price are we expecting? 3's on?
2 to 5, around that mark.
That's
at the
quite
moment,
generous.
But more money could come from him. Obviously, Riders on the Storm, one of the most improved chasers in training since he came over to Nigel Twiston-Davies from Tom Taft's yard in Ireland. He looks an exciting prospect. Whether he's up to this class, what's he rated? 162 now.
Yeah.
He's in
Yeah.
against 177.
Level weight, so he's got basically just over a stone
Theoretically-
to find, according to the handicapper.
According to the handicapper, yeah. And this is Cyrname's home ground, isn't it? It's like a home game for him.
There he
That's
is.
that's a
There
picture
he
more
is.
to my liking.
That was an aye moment. Yeah, the Betfair, we can see it there. Big sponsorship for Barry, of course, this weekend then. You'll be on hand to give the prize. And are you expecting it to go the way that the sportbook suggests?
Most definitely. I can't see what's going to be Cyrname. He was a little bit concerned about him a couple of weeks ago, and that's why he entered Frodon in the race. He just thought he just thought that the King George might have taken a lot out of him against Altior, even ahead of the King George when he finished second. But obviously, Frodon's not running. Cyrname's the main horse here, and like I said, it's a home game for him, isn't it?
There's a lot of love for Riders on the Storm from jockeys. Tom Scudamore, speaking to him early on in the day, and he actually went for him and he said, look, I think this guy could just step up. Came into it with a similar profile to Cyrname last year. This is, of course, when he really arrived on the scene, wasn't it? If you're a rider against him, say Traffic Fluid, who we mentioned briefly earlier, are you going to try and take him on to get him at it, or can you take him on?
As in, I do think he's beatable tomorrow. The biggest hindrance to that, I feel, is like, I just can't see why Josh Moore is going to, like, Traffic Fluid, like I say, I think this is being used as a stepping stone towards the national.
Like Ascot as well, we should say,
But
Traffic Fluid.
are you, if you're going to use it like that, are you really going to go and get into a pace battle with Cyrname at this stage of the year with the national 6-7 weeks away.
It could be a perfect draw,
But it could be if he rides it like that. But what I'm saying is, if he goes hammer and tongs a Cyrname, I don't see how that's going to play out best for him.
So you'd let him have an easy lead?
I just don't see what else is going to press him, because Sam isn't going to really want to ride Riders on the Storm that way, I wouldn't have thought. I don't think Traffic Fluid is going to go forward to that extent.
It's interesting what you say about Traffic Fluid, because he does like to go forward, as we know, and he's not always beat when he's passed, because 2 years ago in Cheltenham in April, he's one of the very few horses that trade at 1,000 in running and got back up to win. He did that in Cheltenham a couple of years back.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he
that
did.
was at the spring meeting, wasn't
Yes,
it? Of
that's
course,
right,
I
April,
can now remember that. I think it was a tale of woe for me at the time. I seem to remember him flying past me on the running. From a betting angle barrier, in this race, punters, ordinary punters would look at it. They're betting with one of the big firms and they're thinking, I just haven't got an angle here whatsoever. Totally different with the exchange, isn't it?
Of course it is. Yeah, you might think, gee, at the price he might be worth taking on Cyrname. You could take 100 quid out and to lose 45. He's 1.45. A lot of people risk 100 or risk 45 quid, win 145.
Take a view after a couple of fences.
Yeah, you could possibly trade out, but I don't think he's going to trade any shorter in running, because it looks like he's going to get to the front and stay there. Traffic Fluid might take him on because he might be just so fresh, he mightn't have any option.
Maybe. It just would surprise me, because I can't believe that the Moors are going into this thinking we've a realistic chance of winning the Grade 1. It's a place that he likes. It comes at the right time. It's a small field. I'd have thought nearly they had their eyes on third or fourth money. We'll get a good blow into him and we'll build for the next day. So I'd be surprised if he goes forward and takes him on. I think Cyrname will get an easy lead.
If you're Sam Tristan-Davies, of course, on Riders on the Storm, you'd be hoping for that scenario. Interesting that the jockeys think Cyrname might be vulnerable. Tom Scouse says it. You're shaking your head there, Barry. This is Mr. Ascot's race.
Definitely. I can't have Riders on the Storm at all. I know he's a significantly improved horse, but this is going to be his Waterloo tomorrow.
Why can't you have him?
I just thought, he's rated 162 now. I don't know whether the improvement's still there. He was sold out of Ireland by very clever men who no way they expected that he would show the improvement.
He was well bought then, wasn't he, really?
Well bought or stupidly sold, whichever side of the fence, whether you're the buyer or the seller.
Timmy Hyde and that lot. But he was, of course, and the Shanahans, of course, had him, didn't
Shanahan,
they?
yeah.
And we should say that it was a massive gamble, wasn't he, for that A Plus Tard race at the Novice Handicap. So he was expected to maybe reach these heights.
Yeah, and didn't run well that day at all.
He had a
might have been
shocker.
pulled up. Yeah,
you wonder whether punters hold that against him. But again, he's shown the liking for Ascot. We've got a small field, but we are looking at a fascinating race.
He won the Betfair Graduation Chase up in Haydock.
Yep.
And for me, the horse he beat that day, he beat that day on the blind side, who is a perennial underachiever.
He's let him down at Kempton since, isn't he?
He's let the form down again now, and I just can't have him. I'm definitely going to be laying him, and it's Cyrname's race to lose.
So you will be presenting the prize to Cyrname. If you were having a go at
it might be my first and last go at this Betfair exchange, but I think I'm going to lay Cyrname. I'm going to take him on.
That's what we like to hear, isn't it? Cyrname for me as well. Right, time we've all been waiting for. We've heard the nitty-gritties. We've heard about how to back and lay, what the exchange offers, but where are the lads putting their money or indeed taking it from this weekend? I'm going to start, lads, if you don't mind. Master Debonair, I know we've talked about him in the first. I think he is the lay of the weekend. He's going to go in front. He's going to go ever so short, but he has been getting easy leads and he's not come up against the horse of Sporting John's calibre. What sort of price will I be looking at?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'd say, in running, it's hard to just see how the race develops.
He's going to go short, isn't he? Come on.
Well, if he gets an uncontested lead up front, of course he will, yeah. But I'd say pre-race he's probably going to be around 5-4, which is 2.25.
I'm thinking two's on in running, Barry. Come on. Ooh, I can snare that, can't I? Absolutely a juicy one for me there, Master Debonair, to hit the deck. Okay, so go on.
For me, Chidabella in the Kingwell Hurdle.
Ooh, in Canton.
This is like champion hurdle day for him,
County hurdle winner?
Yeah.
Small field problem? Or?
I don't think so. As in Keldestan, Song for Someone, rivals, and I think he's going to prove to be better than them on the day.
Another fascinating little in-running race. Cat and mouse it could be, couldn't it?
Very much so. Always is as well. Very tactically ridden.
Okay, Barry.
The 3 o'clock in Ascot tomorrow, Nordano.
Tell us
down
about
the bottom.
this.
He's only a 4-year-old, so he gets the £10 allowance or £11 allowance as a 4-year-old against the older horses.
There's been a lot of these juveniles winning handicaps this season.
He's off 127. It's something that I like, especially around this time of year. Stepping up and trip as well. Good run last day against Goshen. Looks like a horse crying out for a step up and trip. Even the time before that, he finished third, I think, to the All Mankind, who's another Triumph Hurdle contender in a Grade 1. Yeah, so I think he's crying out for a step up in trip. I'm going to back him in the win market, and I'm also going to back him in the place market. 3 places, 15 runners.
There you go. You heard it here. Your weekend winners. Well, that's all we've got time for here on the Racing Post Live with the Betfair Exchange. And we teased you a little bit earlier what we're coming up. We've got live shows starting off in the Supreme Novice Hurdle on the Cheltenham Festival. And sponsors, we're going to get some more money out of you, babe. We need to sit down. My back's going, man. What are you on
I don't
about?
think I'd last the 3.5 hours broadcast standing like this beside you two guys.
You'll be at the track, but you'll be tuning in to see us. You're not going to miss a race live. We're going to be talking you through absolutely everything that's going on. Cannot wait for that. Thanks, Charlie. You enjoyed it? Are you a little bit more clued up?
Loved it. I'm going to go and open an account as soon as we finish.
Thank you for coming over, Barry.
Thank you very
Absolutely
much.
fantastic. Don't forget you can download the free Racing Post app, of course, on the Play Store and the App Store itself. Don't forget, of course, you can bet now with Betfair on the Racing Post app as well. And whether you're backing or laying this weekend, make sure you do it responsibly.